Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. This is a panoramic picture of the Valley of Adamandayaman. And we're going to talk about Adamandayaman because we were just there 2 days ago. There was a member of the church that invited us to stay with her and her family and go see the church sites. Her name is Tamara. And she took us to go see Hans Mill, Far West, and Adamandayaman. And so, you know, it's one thing to study about these things in books and on the internet, and then it's another to actually go there and be hands-on. And that's the case with anything that you study. I think that we shouldn't just read books, but we should actually, as much as possible, have actual contact with whatever we're studying, be there in person, try it out for ourselves. Because sometimes there's information that you just can't get unless you actually go somewhere or do something in person. And for me, that was the case with Adamandayaman. I've been studying it as much as I can for the last couple years, ever since I started this channel in August of 2021. And we've definitely learned a lot through the course of this channel. But, you know, I didn't really know, I guess, what to expect. I had a picture in my mind of what it would be like, but once we got there, it was completely different from what I thought. And for me, the big thing was how big it is and how like massive this valley is. This picture right here doesn't really do it justice, nor do any of the other pictures that I took, because for some reason you don't get the perspective doesn't come through. But we're standing on top of Tower Hill right here, looking out over the Valley of Adamandayaman. And it's just this massive valley. And these hills that are around it are much taller than what it looks like here in this picture, and much more steep. Like from here, if you didn't know any better, you'd think, oh yeah, it's just like a little slope right here, and then it goes down to the valley floor. No, this is actually like really steep, and you can't see it in this picture. So while we were there, I talked with Tamara, and we talked about a lot of things, talked about the practicality of meeting at Adamandayaman, and she showed me some things that I didn't know about. So I want to share some of that with you in this video. Okay. So before we do, I have a new Artza box that was sent to me, and I gave it to Tamara and her family for letting us stay with them for one night, and for her showing us all these sites. So this is something that you can order. I have the link for it in the description box of each video. First, you have the charities that I do through Israel 365, and then there's a book you can buy through Israel 365, 75 words, 75 Hebrew words you need to know to understand the Bible. But then under that, I have Artza. And Artza is a company where they connect with all these small businesses in Israel, and then they send you these boxes that have like miscellaneous items in them. They have like food, they have crafts, they have games, and all sorts of stuff. So here are some of the past boxes. Usually there's a theme, like there was a Bethlehem box, Jerusalem box. My favorite one is the Christmas box that they send out each year, because it'll have like ornaments that are made out of olive wood, like olive tree wood, and it's just really fun. My kids really like it. But let me just show you really quick what was in Tamara's box. This box, the theme or the name of this box was just the Holy Land, so it was just kind of like stuff from all over Israel in this case. So here she has this set of 4 things of gourmet salt. They all had like different flavors. I can't remember them. I wish I would have taken a picture, but there was that. Usually they include like a game or a puzzle, and here's like an ancient game that's been played in Israel and in Jerusalem for a long time, I guess, that involves these these 5 stone cubes, and these are like stone cubes quarried from Israel, you know, and made into this game. In this case, there was a milk chocolate bar. Looks really good. We didn't try it, but it does look like it's pretty good. Intensive black mud body cream. All the girls tried it. My daughters were there, my wife, and then Tamara. They all used it and thought it was really good. It was really light and smooth, I guess. I didn't try it because I'm a guy. Here's all three of those things together. And then they had this like art piece right here that you can hang up or place somewhere in your house. It is Israel with two doves on the side, and then it says, "And you shall be blessed." And then I took this picture of it because Tamara's house is like a model home. It's perfect and beautiful, and it's just really good. But got that. And then there was this tapestry, Psalms 122 verse 6. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you enjoy tranquility. And then again, I had to take another view because her house is really nice, and it's very it's like a model home. And like all this stuff from Artza looked really good wherever you put it in her house. And then you will get this from time to time. It's not like this is a church company, like it's not run by members of the church. So sometimes they'll have like tea, or in this case, coffee. But it actually works out for Tamara because she has a business that she does. You might want to order from her. So if you want stuff, from a member of the church that lives right by Adamandayamin, she has this business, Jujube, and she produces she makes all these different things. There's like lip gloss, moisturizer, foaming cleanser, bath tea, homegrown natural loofah, and all sorts of stuff like that. So this is what Tamara does. And so she said that she was going to use the coffee beans from the Arta Box so that like when she's like showing her products to customers or whatever, she can use that. Cause like, how when you smell something, you need something to kind of neutralize it so you can like really smell the next scent. She's going to use the coffee beans for that. So I'm glad that that's not going to waste. So anyway, thank you, Tamara, and your family for letting us stay. It was a really good time. And now we're going to talk about, let me just show you some of the pictures of like the places that we went. So first we went to Hans Mill, and we did this all within a day. We left her house. It was at 10 o'clock, and then we were done by 5. So we were able to hit up all these places within that time frame. So we went to Hans Mill. This is where there was that massacre. I'm sure that you've heard about it before. Here's one of the millstones. They have it there. And what I didn't know is it wasn't until relatively recently that the church acquired this land. I guess I had always thought that like we always had it, but I'm just like kind of stunned that like we haven't had a lot of these places until recently. And when I say recently, I mean relatively recently. For example, with Adamandayamin, I think she said the first 38 acres of Adamandayamin didn't even belong to the church until the 1940s. And so it's like that recent that we got that land, and ever since then, the church has been acquiring land around Adamandayamin. I talked to Tamara about that, and she said, there could be other reasons, but one reason is probably because like, how the church, like with downtown Salt Lake, they try and keep downtown Salt Lake nice. They invest in it, especially the areas around Temple Square. It's to kind of like preserve the area so that the spirit can be felt there. So it's clean. So it's beautiful. And so it's probably the same case with Adamandayamin, but there could be other reasons why they're acquiring land. But anyway, Hans Mill, this is within the last, gosh dang, I already forgot. She told me a couple times, probably within the last like 11 to 15 years, I believe is like when we acquired this. This was that case where what they did, and this is not to like vilify them, of course, but the prophet Joseph Smith had given them counsel to leave that place and come to Far West, which is only like 12 miles away from Hans Mill. And they decided not to listen to him, and they decided to hold their ground. And as a result, people died. I think it was 17 who were murdered by mobs because the mobs were there to, drive them out, and people lost their lives. Whereas that probably wouldn't have been the case had they listened to the prophet. Again, the prophet, don't think that he only gives spiritual counsel. He will give temporal counsel, and we'd be wise to follow that counsel because he's the prophet. He can see things that we don't. and we're given our agency. We can exercise faith or, lean to our own understanding, and then reap the consequences of that. But anyway, here's like the river or the creek that goes through Hans Mill. And this was also like a very beautiful sight. It's nice to go visit. Here's Far West. If you don't know Far West, for a time, it was headquarters of the church. Joseph Smith lived there, Brigham Young, and they had laid the cornerstones of a temple. That's what this like fenced area is. This is like the perimeter of that would-be temple that never came to be. And in the corner of each one, there's like a glass case where you have the original cornerstone that was laid, right? And then there's like a monument here. And on the monument, I think it's on the monument, or maybe one of these plaques, it mentions Alvin R. Dyer. He's the one that I've referenced a million times when we've talked about Independence, Missouri, and how they created the Independence Visitor Center to be one of the temples of the 24 temple complex. During his time, he did a lot of stuff when it comes to the land in Missouri, including Far West. So it was interesting to see his name there. Oh yeah, I think it's like right here. Anyway, so we went and checked that out. Oh, here, I took a picture of it. Dedication of improvements and beautification of site, 3rd of August, 1968, by President Alvin R. Dyer. He was a member of the first presidency. And then you have Emil Fetzer, and he is the one that was the architect for the Independence Visitor Center. So he's the one that was the architect for that future temple of New Jerusalem. He's also the one, I think he was the architect of like the Ogden Temple, and like other things as well. Here's, what you'll see when you look at the glass case. There's the one of the cornerstones, and each one of the cornerstones represents something. Okay, and then here is Adamandayaman. Excuse me. So where this line is, where it like transitions from this green to like this farmland over here, this is like a steep drop off. It is not just like, you don't just like walk over here and it's like a gentle slope or whatever. This is a drop off right here, or, a steep incline. And again, I'm sorry, but the pictures just don't really capture that. Okay, so here, this is where we're going to start talking about Adamandayaman. So Tamara and I talked a lot about, what we thought was going to happen as far as like the meeting of Adamandayaman. There's those of us that think that it's already taken place, or at least certain sessions of it have already taken place. I'm in that camp. And I don't think that there's going to be like a huge gathering of everybody right now in the church or the righteous in the church to this place. There's a few reasons for that. For one, let's remind ourselves what Joseph Fielding Smith said in The Way to Perfection. He says, when this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. Yet it shall be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory of our Savior Jesus Christ, as the prophet Joseph Smith has said. The world cannot know of it. The saints cannot know of it, except those who officially shall be called into this council. For it shall precede the coming of Jesus Christ as a thief in the night, unbeknown to all. Right? Because members of the church, we're supposed to have like a much better sense of when the second coming is going to happen, because we know the signs of the times. We should be able to discern them. It's like a woman who's in labor, that, the time is really close, that the baby's going to be born, but you don't exactly know. So members of the church are like, are like those that understand that, a birth is about to happen because you can see the signs, but the rest of the world mostly will not really know. They'll be taken by complete surprise. Us, it'll probably be a surprise when it happens. And when I talk about a surprise, I'm not talking about necessarily Adamandayaman, although I think it will be a surprise. Like, we're going to find out like, oh, it's already taken place. And then Christ coming to the Jews, him coming to the world. Like, I think that's going to be a surprise to everybody, including us. But, anyway, so Adamandayaman, according to this, the majority of the church is not going to know about it. Okay. In case there's any doubt, because there's always people that like to nitpick over words and phrases and become gospel attorneys. At large meaning. This is from Oxford Languages. It means as a whole, in general. Okay. So the church as a whole, or in general, is not going to know about Adamandayaman. But how do we reconcile that with this over here? Let's look at what Bruce R. McConkie says in Millennial Messiah. And Bruce R. McConkie, by the way, he cites what we were just, he cites the book that we were just reading from by Joseph Fielding Smith. So Bruce R. McConkie read, and he read what Joseph Fielding Smith said, and he cites from that book. In Millennial Messiah, he says, before all flesh shall see him together, before any of his appearances, which taken together comprise the second coming of the Son of God, before all these, there is to be a secret appearance to selected members of his church. Okay? Secret appearance to selected members. He will come in private to his prophet and to the apostles then living, those who have held keys and powers and authorities in all ages from Adam to the present will also be present. And further, all the faithful members of the church then living and all the faithful saints of all ages past will be present. It will be the greatest congregation of faithful saints ever assembled on planet Earth. It will be a sacrament meeting. It will be a day of judgment for the faithful of all ages. So that seems to contradict what Joseph Fielding Smith said, although Bruce R. McConkie does seem to make a distinction between the private appearance to his prophet and the apostles then living. That seems to be separate from what he says after that, where he starts talking about all who have held keys and then all faithful members of the church. And then there's this fact that there's going to be a sacrament meeting. So how do we reconcile these two things? I think we do it like this. I think that there's the private appearance to the prophet and to the apostles, okay? But then you have the other sessions of Adamandayaman, because Bruce R. McConkie and Joseph Fielding Smith talk about how it's going to be made up of several sessions. It's not like everything takes place all at once, okay? And so we've talked about on the channel before about what President Jeffrey R. Holland said back in October 2006 General Conference in a talk called Prophets in the Land Again. He says, as prophets have done in dispensations from Adam down to the present day, President Hinckley has figuratively gathered us in a kind of global equivalent of the valley of Adamandayaman, has loved us and taught us and bestowed upon us his blessing. We've talked about the April 2020 General Conference and how that seemed to be a general conference that was really highlighted. It really stood out. It happened at a time of crazy things going on in the world, and how that could have been a portion of the proceedings of Adamandayaman. And thereby, all the church, all the faithful are there and they're participating. It's just that they don't know, at least not at that moment, that it's part of Adamandayaman. And there could be other general conferences, maybe all the general conferences have been part of Adamandayaman, because they're for instruction and things like that. Now, what about the sacrament meeting? Because it says here that it will be a sacrament meeting. Well, a couple things about that. One, Mindy from Temples of Jesus channel talked about the fact that it's interesting that at the time of General Conference, April 2020 General Conference, we all stayed home from church. We were having home church. The sacrament was being administered by ourselves, by those that hold priesthood in our households. So that could be a thing. And that's an interesting thought. It's important to think about different possibilities. A lot of people just go to what they think is the most obvious thing, and then they just rigidly stick to that without considering other ways that things can happen. So that's one way. Another thing is, I've covered this a time or two. This is from Orson Pratt in the Journal of Discourses. volume 8, and this is basically starting on page 51 and then on to 52. Look what he says. I better zoom in a little bit more. About the same time that the Latter-day Saints are quickened, not immortalized, meaning not resurrected. So those that are alive are going to be quickened. All of us are going to change as we move into the millennium. Us and plants and animals and the earth itself, everything's going to be quickened. So that's what he's referring to. So about the same time the Latter-day Saints are quickened, there will be saints that have slumbered and slept for ages, and they are to be quickened and taken up into the heavens. Okay, we're all going up into the heavens, whatever that means. Those that are resurrected, as well as the saints that are quickened. Now, the wicked are to see all these things, and if power of language could be given to them, what would they say? They would turn to the rocks and the mountains and say, "O mountains and rocks, fall upon us and hide us from the presence of him that sits upon the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb." And I have no doubt, but they will have the power to say it. But they must endure the sight. Okay, so in other words, they're going to see us, and I guess they're going to see us be quickened and taken up. So that kind of goes along with the traditional Christian view of the rapture, that suddenly people are going to be gone. I don't know if like we're going to like physically float up into the air, or if like we're going to like, be here and then suddenly be in some other place. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's going to happen. Orson Pratt is saying that those that remain, or those that are not quickened and caught up, are going to see all this happen. Okay, continuing. After which they must be consumed according to that which is spoken, and the heathen nations must be redeemed, and the way be prepared for the Lord to dwell upon the earth. The mortal saints will then be transfigured and sanctified, but not immortalized. They will be prepared for the millennial reign. Now look at that. They will be prepared for the millennial reign. This is one of the functions of Adam-ondi-Ahman. So Adam-ondi-Ahman, there's a few things that take place. One, that's where Christ officially becomes king of the world, where he's crowned king of the world. Okay. Also, it's a time and a place where reports are given. If you've held priesthood keys, you give a report of your stewardship. So there's reporting that takes place, and there's like a type of judgment, which I don't really know what kind of judgment, but it's been brought up a number of times that there's like judgment at Adam-ondi-Ahman. And then it's also for instruction, to prepare the saints for what's going to happen next, in the lead up to the second coming, and for what happens, like, I guess probably in the first part of the millennium. There's instructions that are giving. So Orson Pratt is talking about the fact that after being quickened and then the dead being resurrected, at that point, quote, they will be prepared for the millennial reign. And then continuing, the tables will then be spread, in the latter day and former day saints will be brought together and partake of the sacrament, right? To partake of the sacrament just as it is this afternoon. Okay? Only more perfectly prepared. So, Bruce R. McConkie and others, Joseph Smith, when you go to the Journal of Discourses, Joseph Smith talks about it. They talk about this sacrament that's going to take place as part of Adam-ondi-Ahman, and knowing that Adam-ondi-Ahman is not just one single event, it doesn't take place during 1 hour or during one day. It's spread across multiple sessions. It may be that the final session is when we all come together, not at the Valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman, or I don't know, maybe we'll be there, but in the heavens. Okay, whatever. The way that the scriptures read, the way that prophets and apostles talk about it, it seems like you go up in the sky, you're in the heavens with Christ in the clouds. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe when the quickening happens, we all initially come here to Adam-ondi-Ahman and cannot be seen by the rest of the world. Maybe that's a possibility, because when Adam-ondi-Ahman takes place, all of the different sessions, it's not going to be known by the world. And that suggests kind of like a supernatural aspect to it, kind of, right? Think about this. Okay, so let's talk about the practicality of the entire church coming here. This is not set up, at least right now, to accommodate 17 million people. Or say that it's half the church. Say that, you have like 50% that are the wise virgins. It's not set up to accommodate 8.5 million people. In order to do that, well, you're going to have more than just these bathrooms over here. Okay. These are like new bathrooms. Tamara said that this building is like brand new within the last several months. So it may not be enough for 8.5 million people. Now, the resurrected beings, they're not going to need to use the bathroom, I don't think. But we're still going to be in mortality, even though we are quickened and we're still going to eat and drink. So people are going to have to use the bathroom. So that may be an issue. Another thing is there's always like these rumors. People will be like, oh, there's like electrical equipment and like lighting that's being set up at Adamandayaman, and there's like a secret underground facility there, which there's not. You guys, there's not a secret underground facility there. You have 14 missionary couples that work there. They tend to the grounds and the land, and they do gardening and all sorts of stuff. They maintain that area. There's 14 of them. So if there's going to be like a big meeting and it's like done through practical means, you're going to have to set up lots of chairs. And I think that's probably going to be more chairs than 14 elderly missionary couples would be able to set up. Just think about like when you have stake conference or some like function at your church. It takes a lot of people just for that small amount of people to set up chairs, right? Unless we're all going to be standing at Adamandayaman. But imagine that they started to set up like chairs. They started to set up, lighting and electric, like generators, right? Portable generators and stuff like that. It's going to catch the attention of people because there are people, as you can see, there's always people coming here to visit Adamandayaman. This is one vantage point. I was told that there's like another one like further over here to the south. But people are going to take notice. If suddenly they close off this area, like you can't enter into Adamandayaman, because like here, let's go to Google Earth. So this is the location. This is like an old satellite image. This is from 2019. So I can already tell that a lot has changed since then, because here's where the bathroom building is, where my mouse is. And then this is where I parked with the blue van. And you see all these trees. Tamara talked about the fact that they cleared all these trees out so that you could have this view. There used to be a bunch of trees right here. Like there's the stump of a tree right there. I think that's a stump. But anyway, okay, so look. Oh, not further to the south, further to the east is what I meant. So we were looking south. So here is Adamandayaman. Here's like where you enter in, right, from this road. If you continue on this road, it goes up to the town of Jameson right there. But you come in here and you can either go to the left or you can go to the right. If you go to the right, that takes you to Spring Hill and Tower Hill. If you go to the left, it goes to like this area down here. Here's the valley. And it's funny how like on Google Earth, like you can't really tell that it's a valley. Like it doesn't really stand out. If you don't know what you're looking for, it doesn't really stand out from the rest of the area. But here's the valley right here. And so they could make it like so no one can enter into Adamandayaman and then set all that stuff up. But that would take a lot of manpower. A lot. To set up all those chairs or generators or whatever else. Whatever is required for like a big meeting. So I don't think that could happen without the world noticing, unless like it was like shielded through supernatural means or something like that, which I guess that's a possibility. Excuse me. Another thing is, if you did have some kind of meeting, whether it was everybody physically present here, or if it was done through like a broadcast, like the way that we dedicated the Palmyra Temple and the Nauvoo Temple, those were like church-wide broadcasts where you went to your stake center. You had to have a temple recommend to enter into the stake center to be part of the dedication. That's one way that it could happen. Another problem with that, though, is, people wouldn't stay quiet about that. That's just how it is. Probably most people would stay quiet if they were instructed not to talk about it. Probably most members of the church would not. But there would be people that couldn't help themselves that would talk about it, or people that are there that are tares, they're not actually worthy of a temple recommend. They're just going to church for social reasons or whatever. So they end up going. They see Adamandayaman, and then they would go and tell the Salt Lake Tribune or other media outlets that would be hostile toward the church, like, oh, they just had what they thought that they just had a secret meeting, but I want to tell you all about it, and there's other people that can confirm what I'm telling you. So you see how there would be like issues with that. So the way I think that this is my best guess. My best guess is that there's the private meeting with the prophet and the apostles, and then you probably have a bunch of resurrected beings there as well. And that's done in private, and that's easy to do without people knowing. President Nelson could just like go there like one day, have the place closed off, and no one would be the wiser. He could go at nighttime, or he could do it during the day and just have this whole place closed off. Then they have like a meeting. But anyway, I think something like that probably will, or probably has already happened. I wouldn't be surprised if it has happened. Let me explain. Let me just, now that I remember this. Okay. Hope of Israel Worldwide Youth Devotional. I haven't talked about this for a while, but President Nelson, he's dropped hints about Adamandayaman. One of those hints, there's actually two hints in this. This was the Worldwide Youth Devotional that he did in 2018. This is the one where he introduced the concept of the Lord's Youth Battalion. And this was like a really landmark devotional. It was not just like a typical devotional. There were things that were said there that were incredible. This is where Sister Nelson talked about coming across all the 12 tribes of Israel, and how as a little girl she knew that they had to be gathered, and then she was witnessing it firsthand when they were in Russia in our Armenia. Okay, so there were a lot of other things said during this devotional, but one of them is this. Okay, I had to stop and look for it. Okay, so we have this. This is what he said. Think of this, my dear young brothers and sisters. Right now, I am preparing for the day when I will be required to give an accounting to the prophet Joseph Smith, to President Brigham Young, and others, and ultimately to the Lord, about my stewardship as God's prophet upon the earth today. Now, he could be referring to when he passes away, or he could be referring to it during his presidency at Adamandayaman, because that's what's going to take place, a report of your stewardship, right? Another interesting thing that he said, this was also this is the Worldwide Devotional for Young Adults with President Nelson, May 2022, where it's called Choices for Eternity. And he says, some might label me as a quote unquote old man, but I'm a lot younger than Adam was, and Noah too. And then he goes on, ageism, racism, nationalism, sexism, and a host of other isms are universally limiting. And then he goes on. So he includes this like odd little tidbit right here, how his age, because at this time, everyone's talking about how old he is, for a president of the church. So there's like a lot of attention on that, but he's like, yeah, but that's nothing compared to Adam and Noah. And then he includes footnote 14, where he says Adam died at age 930, Noah died at age 950. And then he gives the scriptures for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Adam-ondi-Ahman had already taken place, or at least the first meeting of Adam-ondi-Ahman, President Nelson being there, and then that being the private meeting with the prophet and the apostles, and maybe that joke being told as he's actually meeting with Adam and Noah, where they're like, "Oh, you think that you're old? I lived until I was 930." And then Noah being like, "Yeah, but I lived until I was 950." So there's other hints as well, but those are just like two I wanted to share right now. So it really could have already happened. And General Conference, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been part of Adam-ondi-Ahman, possibly some other things like devotionals. There was like this series of area devotionals that President Nelson was doing himself. They all followed the same format, and it was just for a few places. It was Europe, California. There was a Nevada one. There was one for Kansas and Oklahoma, and then there was another one for Alberta and British Columbia. And like then it just like stopped. Those were like this like series of area devotionals. They all followed the exact same format, just 4 speakers. They started with like a little video presentation of the history of the church in that area, and then special advice and stuff was given, and like it was, each one was unique. I watched all of them, and interesting things were said. So it could be all this stuff put together. You have the private appearance, you have General Conference, you have other area devotionals and other meetings. You have all these like devotionals with the youth and the young adults in the church, right? But what about reporting? The reporting of stewardships, because there's always the, well, we all have to be there if everyone's going to make a report. Like that's always like the default. And it makes sense. Like that seems obvious. Like, okay, yeah, we're all going to be there and give a report. But let's think about this. I was talking with Tamara about giving a report for those that hold priesthood keys and whatever, and reporting your stewardship. And she brought up the fact that we do that all the time already in the church, right? So let me show you what I mean. Okay, I have so many tabs pulled up. I have like so much stuff to talk about. Okay, here we go. So this is from the General Handbook, okay? I guess chapter 31, interviews and other meetings with members. So this is 31.3.3, meeting with members to discuss their callings and responsibilities. Stake presidents, bishoprics, and other leaders meet individually with members who report to them about their callings. For example, the stake president meets regularly with each bishop in the stake. A member of the stake presidency meets regularly with each elders quorum president in the stake. The bishop meets monthly with the Relief Society president. He also meets regularly with the elders quorum president and young women president. A member of the bishopric meets regularly with the primary president and Sunday school president. Members of the elders quorum presidency and Relief Society presidency meet with ministering brothers and sisters. And ministering sisters. In these meetings, the leader inspires and instructs the member in his or her responsibilities. The leader expresses gratitude for the member's service and offers encouragement. The member reports on the progress and well-being of the people he or she serves. Together, they discuss goals, challenges, and opportunities. As applicable, they also review budgets and expenses. So this is something that happens all the time in the church. And it made me think about when I was in the Army. Okay, this is how it went. Well, 2 things. For one, every morning you have morning formation, PT formation, where you do exercises and stuff. For first, you salute the flag. The music plays, you salute the flag, and then after that, you do exercise or physical training. But one part before everything gets going is you have this accountability formation, or where you have like the platoon back here, and the platoon is made up of several squads. And then you have the platoon sergeant that stands in the front, and the platoon sergeant receives the report from each squad about who is at formation. If there's somebody missing, where are they? Are they at an appointment, or are they on leave? Are they this or that? Is there anybody going to sick call today? So they turn around, they receive that report from the squad leaders, and then the platoon sergeant standing in front of the platoon reports to the first sergeant. And you go platoon by platoon, right? Here he is. He's reporting, for his platoon to the first sergeant. Now, this is actually like at probably not basic training. It looks like this is probably like AIT, like after basic training, your career school. So, anyway, and then there's the first sergeant, quote unquote, receiving the report. So you could have something similar at Adamantium, and if like everybody is present, if this like takes place either by supernatural means at Adamantium, or like Orson Pratt said, if it happens like at the time of the sacraments, like when everybody's together in the heavens or whatever, maybe something like this could take place where it's not really like a big long report, but just like basic information, and it's done relatively quickly. I kind of doubt that, but this is one possibility. But I think an even better possibility is this. So in the Army, the way that it works is like, say that you're a junior soldier, you're new to the unit, your sergeant will give you what's called a counseling statement. And the counseling statement will outline all the expectations that your supervisor, the sergeant, has for you. Like, this is what I expect. This is what you should do. This is what you should not do. This is what I expect. Whatever, it lays out the standards, and then you sign it, right? And then there's additional counseling statements at other times. Like maybe if you do something wrong, you get basically like written up, and they give you a counseling statement, and you talk about it. Or, the counseling statement could be updated. And so what happens is, if there's like a big, like say that there's like a big incident in the company or battalion or something like that, there's like something that really goes wrong, then you'll have like someone that comes to investigate, like someone from IG, and they'll typically tell all the company commanders or all the platoon sergeants or whatever, like, I want to see everybody's counseling statements. I want all the most recent counseling statements. And then they perform their investigation. They read through, see what was said, see what's been going on in the unit. And then there's judgment. There's like a recommendation made, and then some kind of appropriate action to resolve whatever the situation is. And so I could see it being like that, how, we're doing these reports. We're always doing these reports in the church all the time. But then at the time of Adamantium, there's kind of like a, crisis here. You have all the resurrected saints, and like, there's like this official, like, okay, everybody report up, your most recent report. And it just goes on up the chain, but in a very natural way, in a way that we're already doing. And then there's just like this like kind of final one for Adamantium. Does it make sense? And you don't even necessarily have to know about it per se. Say that you have a meeting at Adamantium. You have the prophet, you have the apostles there, but they're instructed, okay, before you come to Adamantium, I want you to receive your reports from, your 70s presiding bishopric, get all the reports that you typically get. So get that all solidified. And then when you come to Adamantium, let's talk about it. And you deliver up your report for the church. Does that make sense? So everyone delivers their report, but only the president of the church and the apostles are aware that they're doing like this official report for the church to Christ or to Adam at Adamantium. Does that make sense? Okay. So, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I have some more to say, excuse me, but I'll probably save that for another video. So anyway, natural ways. I really don't think that everyone is going to make their way to Adamantium in the world, not know about it. Like, come here, like the way that we would now with like cars or whatever. There's not enough parking. there's not enough restrooms or other infrastructure to handle all those people. So it would either have to be supernatural in nature, or like how I described, you have the private meeting here, and then the rest of the church participates through general conference, reporting to their bishop, stake president, their stewardship. And then we have like a final big meeting when everybody's caught up in the clouds. And we have that sacrament meeting. That's according to Orson Pratt. So I think it's going to be like that. So whenever people are like, well, what appearance are you referring to? Like when I talk about something like Jerusalem and the red heifers, and like maybe something could happen, like the second coming could happen in April. Well, it could be in reference to being caught up. Why couldn't you be caught up in April, participate in the sacrament meeting and everything else? Maybe stay there for a while and then later come down to the Jews and then come to the rest of the world. It could be like that. The next big thing could be being caught up and finishing off Adamandayamin. So, okay. So that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.